Hi, first grade friends. I am here today to share with you a very famous Christmas poem. Yes, that's right. The Night Before Christmas was actually written as a poem. A long time ago, a man named Clement Seymour wrote this poem that now has become a very famous Christmas book that we read. I know in my family, we read this story every Christmas Eve before we go to bed, ever since my kids were little, because it's such a special story, such a special poem that just really gets us thinking about the spirit of Christmas. So I'm going to share with you the poem, the story, the book called The Night Before Christmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mamma in her kerchief, and I in my cap, had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters, and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below, when what to my wondering eye should appear but a miniature sleigh and a tiny reindeer. With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be Saint Nick. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop, the coursers they flew, with the sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then, in a twinkling, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur, from his head to his foot, and his clothes they were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke, it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed, like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, as he drove out of sight, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. Don't you just love that poem or that story? It has a lot of big words that we would probably need to talk about. Some of them were a little tricky, but if you were thinking about the story, the pictures that you saw, wow, wouldn't it be a special night if you could meet Santa or St. Nicholas too? Today, we want to know, what would you do if you could spend the night with Santa? What would you do? Where would you go? Would you go to the North Pole? Would you bake cookies with Mrs. Claus? Would you help Santa deliver the presents? Today, you're going to write a story called My Night with Santa. Write a story about how you would spend the night with Santa. I'm not sure the man in this story or poem that we just read even realized what was happening. But what would you do? How would you spend your time with Santa? And boys and girls, we have enjoyed spending our time with you, reading stories, and just being together every day, learning and growing together. And we know now that we'll have several days, almost 2 weeks away from school. So, from all of the first grade teachers to all of our friends and families, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.